Good morning. Welcome to another daily reading. This is Exodus 24, which is kind of short, but that's okay because the next one is John 6, which is kind of long, so it makes up for it. So that's good news. Phlegm. Excuse me. Excuse me. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only. And he's an extremely jealous El. He's so jealous that he doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And Yah is short for YahWeh, YahWeh, Yod-He, Vav-He, Yahuwah. It's like saying Dan, Daniel, Daniel with an E. What is a difference and does matters when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name when no, they're not, and no one in their right mind would ever believe that, and only a fool would believe that a hammer could force its creator to do anything. And there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic text because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahushua, the Messiah, sweat blood and was brutally murdered on a stake, spent 3 days in Sha'ul, darkness and gnashing of teeth and fire, for the sins of all of humanity, and was resurrected on the third day for the sins of all of humanity over 2,000 years ago. In a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yeshua, which is short for Yahoshua, is Joshua, and the son of Elohim's name, Yahshua, means Yah is salvation. Yah will save his people from their sins. The name of the Father is in the name of the Son. Where is God in Jesus? God is the pagan idol of fortune. When you say, who's your God? There is only one God, and that's the pagan idol of fortune. The one Leah in Genesis 30 named her child after. Spelled 6 different ways. Especially, well, 6 different ways if you include the lowercase, because lowercase, uppercase, it doesn't matter. Excuse me. It is the pagan idol of fortune. It doesn't matter what case you give it. And Jesus is Greek for Hail Zeus. And Isus, Asus is 4 different deities combined, including Zeus. It's all idol worship. All of it. Baal God, you know the Baal Pure? They worshipped Baal God, which, when translated, is Lord God. So when people say Lord God, they're saying Baal God. Now remember, all of those priests who worship Baal God were executed. So don't think things have changed. Exodus 24, excuse me. And Moshe, M-O-S-H-E-H, and to Moshe, he said, talking Yahweh said, come up to Yahweh, you and Aaron, A-H-A-R-O-N, Nadab, N-A-D with a line underneath of it, A-B with a line underneath of it, and Abihu, A-B with a line underneath of it, I-H-U, and 70 of the elders of Yisrael, Y-I-S-R-A apostrophe E with a half a checkmark L, and you shall bow yourselves from a distance. You know, something that just came to my mind is somebody offered me to join a group so I could learn Hebrew so I could say these words properly, and I just remembered it now, and I can't remember who told me of it, but they watched one of my videos, so hopefully they're watching again and they can remind me because I forgot. I'm sorry. And I still would like to learn Hebrew so that I can say these names and these words properly because I am screwing them up. I know I said that in the very beginning of when I started my videos, so that's probably what's going to happen, but I'm going to say it now. I'm still screwing them up. And yeah, I would totally like to learn Hebrew. That way I can say these Hebrew words properly. It won't sound so stupid coming out of my mouth. I mean, if people don't want to take me seriously because I'm mispronouncing words, then that's on them. I don't care. But I, for myself, would like to say it properly, you know, personally. Excuse me. But Moshe shall draw near to Yahweh by himself, and let them not draw near, nor let the people go up with him. And Moshe came and related to the people all the words of Yahweh and all the right rulings, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words, capital W, and all the words which Yahweh has spoken we shall do. And Moshe wrote down all the words of Yahweh, and rose up early in the morning and built a slaughter place excuse me, and built a slaughter place at the foot of the mountain, and 12 standing columns for the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 Hebrew tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, and they offered ascending offerings and slaughterings of peace offerings to Yahweh of bulls. And Moshe took half the blood, excuse me, got some phlegm in there. And Moshe took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the slaughter place. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people, and they said, all that Yahweh has spoken we shall do and obey. And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, see the blood of the covenant which Yahweh has made with you concerning all these words. And Moshe went up, also Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. Excuse me. And they saw the Elohim of Israel, and under his feet like a paved work of sapphire stone, and like the heavens for brightness. I just want to point out that the only one who's seen Yahweh is the Father. So these people are actually looking at the Messiah. They're looking at Yahushua. Yahushua was the one who led them into all those other tribes to take it over, to make Israel Israel. Not Israel today, but Israel then. Israel today is the state of Babylon. State of Israel, the state of Babylon. Exiled across the world is what the people are right now. Yet he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Israel, and they saw Elohim, and they ate and drank. So they ate and drank in the view of the Messiah. And the Messiah didn't strike them. Yet he did not stretch out his hand against the chiefs of the children of Israel, and they saw Elohim, and they ate and drank. And Yahushua said to Moshe, come up to me on the mountain, and be there while I give you tablets of stone, and the Torah, and the command which I have written, to teach them. Not to throw it away eventually, but to teach them. And Moshe arose with his assistant Yahoshua, which is Yeshua, Yehoshua, which is Joshua. And Moshe went up to the mountain of Elohim, and he said to the elders, wait here for us until we come back to you. And see, Aaron and Hur, H with a dot, you are with you. Whoever has matters, let him go to them. And Moshe went up into the mountain, and a cloud covered the mountain, and the esteem of Yahweh dwelt on Mount Sinai, Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. And on the 7th day he called to Moshe out of the midst of the cloud, and the appearance of the esteem of Yahweh was like a consuming fire on the top of the mountain before the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud, and went up into the mountain. And it came to be that Moshe was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Now this is really concerning, because something that didn't quite clue in my brain when I read it before was these people who made the calf also saw the Messiah and ate in his presence. Ate and drank in his presence. And within 40 days and 40 nights they had built a calf, and Aaron, bowing to them, went and did what they wanted instead of just being executed for not doing what they wanted, because your life isn't as important as other people's lives. And if you think that you're more important than them, then you will spare your own life committing horrific acts just to live. I think that's a pathetic excuse. Your life is not worth my life, and my life is not worth your life. A life is a life, and you can't take it away. So why throw other people's lives away for your pathetic little life? Doesn't make any sense. And I know some people probably get offended. My life's not pathetic. I'm like a medic or something. I'm like, yeah, it's all just feeding on the wind. You can save physical lives, but if you just let their salvation slip away, then really, have you saved them? No, I don't think so. And by the sounds of it, a medic would be somebody on the front lines trying to save lives anyways, not just, like say the mayor by chance. I think we have a new mayor in this city. The other one stepped down after he went on vacation and told the rest of us to stay in our homes locked up. Every real politician in this country went on vacation telling all the citizens, no, you're not allowed to go out and mingle whatsoever. How dare you even walk down the street next to somebody? But Yah forbid, we're allowed to go on vacation, all of us in the same hotel in this fancy ass place. It's like, bro, how can people be so ignorant to still think this virus is some real dangerous thing when these people are literally going on vacation after telling us not to because it's so dangerous? I put that in quotations, by the way. Well, let's move on. We need to get to John 6. I like that I can just flip right over through these little page finder thingy-majiggers, so that's good. Praise YahWeh for those. I don't know if it's possible, but just like staple a couple more into the frame of the book and then just place them throughout the rest of the book, and I'd have more. Because ones that just sit in there and then they fall out, well, that's it. They just fall out, and there goes the page I wanted, and now there's no point in having it there because I don't remember what page it is. That's kind of why I have markers, so I don't forget. But let's get into this. John 6. After this, Yahushua went up to the other side of the Sea of Galil, Galil, that is Lake Kinnereth. Lake, and then Kinnereth is Kinnereth, and a large crowd was following him because they saw his signs which he did on those who were sick. And Yahushua went up on a mountain, and there he sat down with his taught ones, and the Pesach, so the Passover, P-E with a half a check mark, S-A-H with a dot, was near. The festival of the Yehudim. Well, it's not the festival of the Yehudim. I mean, the Yehudim were, again, the only ones left, because they were the lawmakers, but the festival of Yisrael, the 12 Hebrew tribes, is what it really is. Then Yahushua, lifting up his eyes and seeing a large crowd coming toward him, said to Philip, Philip, where shall we buy bread for them to eat? And this he said, trying him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii, denarii, which is a Roman monetary unit. Check out my videos on the monetary units. 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for every one of them to receive a little. One of his taught ones, Andri, A-N-D-R-I, the brother of Shimon Kêpha, S-H-I-M'-O-N, Kêpha is K-E with a half a check mark, P-H-A, said to him, here is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishies. 2 fishies. But what are these for so many? And Yahushua said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, and the men, numbering about 5,000, sat down. And Yahushua took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to the taught ones, and the taught ones to those sitting down, and the same with the fish, as much as they wished. And when they were filled, he said to his taught ones, gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none gets wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of the 5 barley loaves which were left over by those who had eaten. Then the men, having seen the sign that Yahushua did, said, this is truly the prophet who is coming to the world. Yes, they did consider him a prophet, which is why the Muslims considered Jesus the prophet, which his name isn't Jesus, and that just proves your religion garbage. Yeah, they thought of him as a prophet. And by the way, the Arabs were one of the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you're wondering where all that came from, it makes a lot of sense. They believed that Yahushua was just a prophet. Then Yahushua, knowing that they were about to come and seize him, that they might make him sovereign, withdrew again to the mountain alone by himself. And when evening came, his taught ones went down to the sea, and entering into the boat, they were going over the sea toward Kêpha Naam. Kephar Naam is Nah with a dot um. And it had already become dark, and Yahushua had not yet come to them, and the sea was rising because a great wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 25 or 30 stadia, stadia, which is 5 to 6 kilometers or 3 to 4 miles, they saw Yahushua walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were afraid. And he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." They wished therefore to take him into the boat, and at once the boat was at the land. They wished therefore to take him into the boat, and at once the boat was at the land where they were going. On the next day, the crowd that was standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one into which his taught ones had entered, and that Yahushua had not entered the boat with his taught ones, but his taught ones went away alone. But other boats came from Kinnereth near the place where they ate bread after the master had given thanks. Therefore then the crowd saw that Yahushua was not there, nor his taught ones. They themselves also entered into the boats and came to Kêpha Naam, seeking Yahushua, and having found him on the other side of the sea, they asked him, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "when did you come here?" Yahushua answered them and said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me not because you saw signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were satisfied. Do not labor for the food that is perishing, but for the food that is remaining to everlasting life, the word of YahWeh, which the son of Adam, AD with a line underneath of it, AM, shall give you. For the Father Elohim has set his seal on him." It's talking about the set apart spirit. So they said to him, "What should we do to work the works of Elohim?" Yahushua answered and said to them, "This is the work of Elohim, that you believe in him whom he sent." So they said to him, "What sign then would you do so that we see and believe you? What would you do?" What do you mean? What hasn't he done? "Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, as it has been written, he gave them bread out of the heaven to eat." Therefore Yahushua said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, Moshe, Mosheh, I think I already said that, but whatever, did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread out of the heaven. The bread is the word, I know it. For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down out of the heaven and gives life to the world." I was wrong. The bread is Yahushua. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so the bread is Yahushua because he says, "Break my bread," or "I break this bread in remembrance of my body." He is the bread. "And drink this wine in remembrance of the blood spilled for you." Yes, he is the bread. Thank you, Yah, for that realization. So they said to him, "Master, give us this bread always." And Yahushua said to them, "I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all," because of the set-apart spirit, the living water. "But I said to you that you have seen me and still do not believe. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and the one who comes to me I shall by no means cast out. Because I have come down out of the heaven, not to do my own desire, but the desire of him who sent me. This is the desire of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me I should not lose of it, but should raise in it the last day. And this is the desire of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should possess everlasting life. And if you believe in him, then you will do what he says, which is the Torah. Should possess everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. Therefore the Yehudim were grumbling against him, because he said, I am the bread which comes down out of the heaven. And they said, Is this not Yahushua, the son of Yosef, Yose with a half a check mark, PH, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says, I have come down out of the heaven? Then Yahushua answered and said to them, Do not grumble with one another. No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him. And I shall raise him up in the last day. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by YahWeh. Everyone then who has heard from the Father and learned comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from Elohim. He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died, as in they died of old age. This is the bread which comes down out of the heavens, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. In other words, after your body dies, your soul won't, or your spirit won't. I am the living bread which came down out of the heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever, not physically eating the Messiah. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Yehudim therefore were striving with one another, saying, How is this one able to give us his flesh to eat? Because they didn't understand that it was the bread. Yahushua therefore said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the son of Adam and drink his blood, you possess no life in yourselves. So on the Passover and festivals like that, you eat bread in remembrance of his body, and you drink wine in remembrance of his blood. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. For my flesh is truly food, and my body is truly drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him. It's a spiritual thing, by the way, not a physical thing. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me shall live because of me. This is the bread which came down out of the heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. He said this in a congregation teaching in Kêpha. Therefore many of his taught ones, having heard, said, This word is hard. Who is able to hear it? Even I kind of don't understand it, but I will, because I'll look for it and I'll try to learn it. But Yahushua, knowing within himself that his taught ones were grumbling about this, said to them, Does this make you stumble? What if you see the son of Adam going up where he was before? It is the spirit that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life. Oh. I didn't even notice there was an A. We're already at D. Oh, it's 7. That's why. Just don't listen to me. Oh. That doesn't matter. Okay. It is the spirit that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life. But there are some of you who do not believe, for Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe and who would deliver him up. He just knew. It's not that he made them do it. He just knew in advance. Foreknowledge is different from like making things happen. He just knows what's going to happen. And he said, because of this I have said to you that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by my Father? From then on, many of his taught ones withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Yahushua therefore said to the 12, do you also wish to go away? Then Shimon Kêpha answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life, and we have believed, and we know that you are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahushua answered them, have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil? Is a devil. Not saying he is the devil. He's a devil. He was now speaking of Yehuda from Querioth. Yehuda is Yehud with a line underneath of it, AH from Querioth, Qerioth, the son of Shimon, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up. For money, because money makes the world go around, right? I mean, not really, but the world wants to believe that. And yeah, all you have to do is make up some fake currency and slap a bunch of bullets to it and say that you'll use this or you won't be part of this country. We'll arrest you and do whatever sorts, and boom, that money becomes worth something. That's what they did in the Western world. They're just like, yeah, you're gonna follow our monopoly money or you're gonna take a boot. You won't be able to survive without our monopoly money. These guys with guns will make sure of it. As they go out and steal resources and murder innocent people and bomb school buses and colleges and hospitals in the name of humanitarian aid. What a great country we live in. People are like, oh, let's go back to the values of this country. What do you mean? You know what the RCMP was founded for? Literally murdering the natives to remove them so that we can build in their land. That's what they were created for. That's what our country is built upon. Doing garbage like that. Our country ain't great. We never were. We were always the problem. People are like, oh, we don't want foreigners in our country. Oh, then go back to where you came from, bud. The natives were here first. You are a foreigner. I am a foreigner. You want foreigners out? Then get out. Start with yourself. Just because they're newer foreigners, you don't want foreigners here. You said it yourself. Get out. You don't like it? Get out. I don't care. Just like the word says, we are all foreigners in a land that is not ours. So treat people with respect. Anyways, that was a daily reading. Hallelujah. Hope you enjoyed. I guess I don't really say this, but subscribe if you want to see more. You don't have to subscribe because you could probably just like watch my videos without subscribing. I don't have notifications on, so I mean, like, I don't get notifications when people post things. And YouTube, fascist book and fascist tube working side by side. They're not communists, they're fascists. Their actions say fascist, so they are fascist. I don't care if people say they're communists. It's just a pathetic anti-China garbage. I just want to point out China is currently still being bullied by the West, hasn't been stopped being bullied by the West, so, if they, decide to defend themselves, that is our fault for not stopping our own government. We deserve whatever happens to us because of our government's decisions, because we chose to not stop them. We chose to live in ignorance. We chose this. We chose this, so we deserve the consequences of these actions. That is only fair. And maybe people should grow up and open their eyes and realize that we are the problem. The Middle East doesn't have terrorists if we in America stay out. If we stop sending in airplanes full of supplies for strictly just the terrorists, because we've been doing it for over 30 years, just dropping supplies to terrorists and calling it, oops, it's an accident, oops, it's an accident. It happens every single time. That's like me pulling out a gun, lining up a bunch of people, stick a full mag in there, cock it, and point it at the guy and pull the trigger and go, oops, sorry, next, oops, sorry, next, oops, sorry, next. It's not an accident. It's on purpose. You cannot tell me that's an accident. That is murder. And YahWeh will not justify criminal acts for whatever interests you have. He doesn't care about your interests. He cares about doing right, and that's it. But this world is full of fools. I'm not butthurt with YRM, but I'm just going to keep bringing it up, that we will be even persecuted by the assemblies for speaking the truth. And YahWeh's restoration ministry persecuted me pretty good for telling them that America is the whore of Babylon and that we are murderers and we are the problem. We are the axis we claim to be fighting against. Always have been, always will be. Your family overseas dying for resources, you're not fighting for freedom. Get your facts straight. I don't care if that offends you, dude. Your offense does not matter to me. The truth, and you coming to the truth and the realization and respecting people instead of treating people like second-class citizens because you think you're better than them is what I'm trying to stop. I got kicked out of a store the other day. I think I told you guys about this already. But I refused to wear a mask and they wouldn't even let me in. It's like, I have asthma, right? It's an underlying medical condition. It prevents me from wearing a mask without causing more bodily harm to myself than the mask itself. In which case, then if I were to damage my immune system that badly and then I get COVID, it more than likely would turn into a flu/pneumonia style, and then it would kill me. And then you'd be like, oh, he didn't wear a mask soon enough. No, it's not about not wearing a mask soon enough, stupid. It's about masks killing people. Masks are literally destroying your immune system. Your brain requires oxygen to breathe. I know people don't care about oxygen to breathe because they're stupid already. But listen, your brain needs oxygen, and lots of it. Why do you think you take a breath every, couple seconds? Or, yeah, literally, a couple of seconds. Maybe, a second in between or something like that. You know why your brain needs that much oxygen? Because it's a requirement to be conscious, to be normal, to be sane. When you start cutting off, like the study in that they showed on marijuana in the 70s, where they tried to say that marijuana kills brain cells. What they did was they put a gas mask over top of the monkey's mouth so they couldn't breathe oxygen, and gave them straight marijuana smoke for up to 12 hours at a time. Lack of oxygen kills brain cells. Oxygen deprivation is what that's called, and it kills brain cells. Crazy amounts. The monkeys were literally brain dead, and they're like, look, weed did that. Weed didn't do that. The fact that you only gave them weed smoke and no oxygen for 12 hours, that's why they died. No oxygen for 12 hours. Are you stupid? It has nothing to do with marijuana. It has everything to do with convincing people that organic plants are bad for you, but Big Pharma is good for you. That's all that was about. In fact, it's actually been proven that people who smoke weed have a higher lung capacity than those who don't. Which means it's the opposite of what that stupid FDA Big Pharma test was. I just want you to know that the FDA is also controlled by Monsanto, who was just bought out by Monsanto and Bayer. So Bayer, because it became Monsanto and Bayer. But Monsanto went bankrupt because of all of the murders they've committed with their chemical garbage, including Roundup. Roundup is just like the icing on the cake, basically. But Bayer, being a German chemical company, also bought them out, knowing full well of their actions. Just like ExxonMobil bought out Standard Oil, knowing full well Standard Oil supported Hitler. Panamanian Oil, look it up. Anyways. Oh, Operation Paperclip. Bringing Nazis into America so that we can continue doing the science that they did on the Jews there, here. democracy. Isn't it great? And then Operation Northwood committing acts like 9/11 on their own citizens to gain support for wars overseas. You can't tell me you're a good guy. Have a good day. I'm going to stop talking so that I can actually upload this. But hallelujah. Praise Yahweh for life and praise Yahweh for death.